So a lot of people nowadays watch television, but do they know who really came up with it and how many people was behind this process? To answer the question of who the father of television is, there is more than one person who deserves the credit for it. All these five people have played a role in becoming a part of this invention. They all have done something that has put the puzzle together and made it ready for it to be launched to the people. The five fathers of television are, on the right, John Bird; on the left, Charles Jenkins, Vladimir Zworykin, Philo Farnsworth, and Paul Nipkow. These five people are part of the process of making the invention of the television happen. They all did something that made it simpler for one another to continue with the process and make the invention happen. A lot of people may know what a television is, but may not know the exact definition. According to the Museum website, the definition for television is a telecommunication medium used for transmitting moving images in a microchrome, black or white, or in color, or in 2 or 3 dimensions, and sound. This term can refer to a television set, a television program, also known as TV show, or the medium of television transmission. Television is a mass medium for entertainment, education, news, politics, gossip, and advertisement. This picture illustrates John Bird's first invention of television. It has a spinning case that can be seen and has a small screen on the front of it. The word television comes from ancient Greek meaning far, Latin visio meaning sight. The first documented usage of this term dates back to 1900 when the Russian scientist Konstantin Perksy used it in a paper when he presented it in French at the first Inter Congress of Electricity, which ran from the 18th to 25 August 1900 during the International World Fair in Paris. Facsimile transmission systems for still photographs pioneered methods of mechanical scanning of images in the early 19th century. According to New York University, Alexander Bain introduced the facsimile machine between 1843 and 1846. Frederick Bakewell demonstrated a working laboratory version in 1851. Whibley Smith discovered the photoconductivity of the element selenium in 1873. As a 23-year-old German university student, Paul Nipkow proposed and patented the Nipkow disc in 1884. This was a spinning disc with a pattern of holes in it, so each hole can scan a line of the image. Although he never built a working model of the system, variation of Nipkow's spinning disc image became exceedingly common.
Vladimir Zworykin is a Russian-born American electronic engineer and inventor of the iconoscope and kinescope television systems. According to Britannica.com, in 1924 he began building a television system based with modification to the camera tube on his patent, and in 1925 he demonstrated it.
In April 1930, Zworykin visited the San Francisco laboratory of inventor Philo Farnsworth, who's on the left, at the behest of the Farnsworth's backers who wanted to make a deal with RSA. 3 years earlier, Farnsworth had done the first successful demonstration of an entirely electronic television system. Zworykin was impressed by Farnsworth's transmission tube, the image dissector, and was inspired by his innovations to keep developing an improved camera tube, the iconoscope, for which he filed a patent in 1931. RSA kept Zworykin's development a secret, and only in 1933 was Zworykin able to announce the existence of the iconic scope. In 1939, RSA introduced regular electronic television broadcasting at the New York World's Fair. So the question is, what did Charles Jenkins do in this situation, being a part of the television invention? According to New York University, Charles Jenkins, an American inventor, also pioneered the television. He published an article on motion pictures wireless in 1913, but it was not until December 1923 that he transmitted moving satellite images for witnesses, and was on June 13, 1925 that he publicly demonstrated synchronized transmission of the silhouette pictures. In 1925, Jenkins used the Nipkow disc and transmitted the silhouette image of a toy windmill in motion over a distance of 5 miles from a naval radio station in Maryland to his laboratory in Washington, D.C., using a lensed disc scanner with a 48-line resolution. He was granted U.S. patient number 1,541,156 on June 30th, 1925.
According to biographyonline.net, John Logie Baird was a Scottish engineer and inventor who demonstrated the first televised moving objects, the first transatlantic TV broadcast, and the first color TV in 1941.
According to the Bird television website, in 1928, Bird's company broadcasted the first transatlantic television signal between London and New York, and the first shorter-ship transmission. In 1929, he became involved in the first experimental mechanical television service in Germany. In November of the same year, Bird and Bernard Nathan of Pate established France's first television company called Francis Bird Nathan. In 1931, he made the first outdoor remote broadcast of the Epsom Derby. In 1932, he demonstrated ultra-short-wave television. Bird's mechanical system reached a peak of 240 miles of a resolution on BBC television broadcasts in 1936. Though the mechanics system did not scan the televised scene directly, instead of a 15.7 film was shot, rapidly developed, and then scanned while the film was still wet. After the lighting and the scanning of the TV was determined and put together, the world's first 625-line television standard was designed in the Soviet Union in 1944 and became national standard in 1946. The first broadcast in 625-line standard occurred in Moscow in 1948. The concept of 625 lines per frame was subsequently implemented in the European CCR standard. Now we will give you some information about when the television was on the market and started selling in the United States in color version and non-color version. Although all electronic color was introduced in the United States in 1953, high prices and the scarcity of color programming greatly slowed its acceptance in the marketplace. The first national color broadcast occurred on January 1st, 1954. During the first 10 years, most network broadcasts and nearly all local programmers continued to be in black and white until the mid-60s and started selling in large numbers. Due to the part of color transitioning of 1965, which occurred to announce that over half of the network primetime programming would be in color of that year. The first all-color primetime season came just 1 year later. In 1972, the last holdout among daytime network programs converted to color, resulting in the first completely all-color network season in the United States of America. Now that we went over where the process started from and how these 5 men have played a role in the invention of the television. You guys know now that the answer to the question of who the father of television is not only one person. It is all 5 of these guys. They all played a role in inventing the television and all impressed each other by making a move that pushed towards the invention of the television.